Welcome to HortTube. My name is Jim Putnam, and this is the third episode of redoing this bed in front of my house here. In the first one, I edged it out, cleaned it up, told you what I was going to be doing. In the second one, I planted some tulips over here and really was just prepping an annual bed for later in the spring. It'll be about mid-April before I can put my annuals in, but that bed is ready to go. In this episode, I'm going to be putting some shrubs in, and I'm mainly doing shrubs above this tree here. And on the other side, it's become very shady, and that's going to be mostly shade perennials. The spot I'm standing, I'm actually going to put some sun perennials in. The sun is on the south over here, so it'll get plenty of sun right here for me to do that. So when I do the perennial video next, those will go in where I'm standing. I'm not going too crazy in this space. It's not all that big. I think have about 8 pieces going in the ground. I'm actually saving a space over here for some Encore Azaleas I'm going to put in a few weeks. And in this container, I put this black dragon cryptomeria. I'm going to just take the camera and show you the few things that I'm putting in here. I've actually done a video on all of these 4 different varieties that I'm putting in here today, so you can search for those if you want more information on them. Not going to bore you too much with digging holes and putting plants in the ground. I do that in almost every video. I will use some pine bark soil conditioner mixed in with the soil I pull out of the hole, just like I always do. This very heavy clay soil above this tree right here. That way and below the tree there, I've amended it a lot over the years, just in a perennial border, and that soil's much better. Somebody asked in the first video about watering because of this tree. Yeah, this tree will cause me some challenges, with shrubs planted close to it. I am planting very drought tolerant plants that are good for both sun and shade, because this is a very changeable spot in the wintertime. You can see these videos are actually hard for me to shoot out here on the south side of my house. It's so sunny. Beautiful morning, but kind of difficult to do some camera work in this kind of bright light. So it's very sunny in the winter, and then of course very shady in the summer. So I've got plants that can kind of handle both. That's what I went for. One thing about planting a tree, if I had this tree in my lawn all this time, number one, it would have never gotten this big this quick. I've given this tree a 20 by 15 foot wide space for it to root into the ground and be happy over these years. And in returning the favor to me, it has been nice to the things that I have planted around it. This more duplicates a forest floor, what I've had going on here. I've always kept the ground covered. I actually keep its leaves on the ground for the most part in this space, and then I mulch over them in late February. So I keep its leaves, plus I add some mulch to it. And so I've been very kind to this tree, and in return, I don't have a crazy amount of roots everywhere. Even to these hollies sitting over here right beside it. One was within 2 feet of it. There's no problem whatsoever, just because, like I say, I've given it space, I've given it mulch, and I've given it moisture so that it didn't have to go out here and try to kill my lawn or try to kill everything else around it. Kind of an important point, and I've made that point before about growing trees in a lawn versus growing trees in a dedicated bed space. The tree is much happier, and it's much less likely to have roots on top of the ground and just being ultra aggressive with your other plants. But to answer the question, I will have to water this area above here a bit more than down below. My water runs that way toward my house. I've got a French drain in front of my house because of it, to get the water away from my house, but it backs up there at that sidewalk and actually stays moist along that sidewalk over there. So I don't really have to water that side of the tree ever. This side of the tree, I definitely will add some additional water to it. So here's a little information on the plants, and then I'll show you after I've got them in the ground. This is Shishi, Gasheri, Sasanqua, Camellia. It's a weeping variety. It'll actually end up big over a very long period of time, but because of its slow growth and its weeping habit, I'll be able to keep this thing 3 feet for the next decade, no problem. I put one more over by the driveway. I put 3 sweet box in front of this tree. I know it will compete with this oak and not have any problems with it really. Once I can get them a little bit established, I will have to water them this first year. They're about to flower. They have little white flowers on the stems. I did a different variety in my backyard a couple weeks ago, but I've done a video on this one and the Himalayan sweet box if you want to look at those. Obviously, it's January right now, so these things are obviously evergreen. They'd be naked if they were deciduous plants, but this is a beautiful dark green, shiny foliage, flower in the winter shrub. I'll keep it around 3 feet tall. I got 3 of them going in. There's the third one right there. I got a second one of those Shishi, Gasheri, Camellias right there. I put this black dragon cryptomeria in this container. I was going to put the container up at the top, but I'm going to do a ground cover perennial right there and do the black dragon cryptomeria in there, and then do some sort of annual or perennial that weeps over the front of that container. I'm also putting in 3 prostrate Japanese plum yews right here. This one I can keep 1 to 2 feet in height, and it'll eventually fill in and just kind of become one plant right here. All 3 of these things, the yew, the camellia, and the sweet box right here, all 3 can take sun or shade. Probably wouldn't want to cook this thing in the summertime all day long, or the Sasanqua camellia, but in the winter time when the sun's on an angle, it won't be a problem at all. But I'm sinking these shrubs up in the upper part of this bed. This part right here along the front, I'm reserving for some Encore Azaleas. I'll do that video when I plant those. I've got those in a protected house right this minute, and they've got a little bit of new growth on them, and I don't want to bring them out while it's still this cold. So they're all in. I don't know how well you can see that. This is actually going to look very good, especially when it gets mulched. I left them all mounded up a little bit. I pulled some leaves up around them. I'll pull those back a little bit and mulch around them, but not up on the stems when we get to the mulch part of this. This is going to look really, really sharp up here. The next video, I'm going to be putting the perennials in, and then after that, like I say, will be the mulching video. Thank you very much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel for more videos.